Bangor man's been sentenced today to 35 years in prison for the murder of his friend.
71-year-old Gary Brinson was found guilty in February of murdering 64-year-old Lee Rona. Brinson and Rona, both veterans, were neighbors and friends who lived in the same apartment building and reportedly spent most days drinking together.
In December of 24, authorities were called to Brinson's apartment where Rona was found dead. Investigators say Rona was stabbed and beaten. In
court today, the judge heard arguments from prosecutors and defense attorneys, along with victim impact statements from Rona's family. The judge called the murder brutal and described Brinson's comments to investigators as, quote, callous and disturbing, but said mitigating factors, including his age and combat service, slightly outweighed the factors against him.
Prosecutors say it wasn't Brinson's brutality during and after the murder that got him the multi-decade sentence.
I think a 35-year sentence is an appropriate sanction for the brutal killing of Lee Rona. Mr. Brinson has accepted no responsibility, takes no remorse, and in fact said horrible things about the person that he called his best friend. He thought, you know, that he should just throw him in the dumpster, or he should have put him out where the homeless people are. He seemed to be put out because the police officers were going to do a search warrant and process the evidence, because he just wanted to return to his apartment, which was at that point blood covered, to watch his favorite TV show. 35 years will make sure that he never does this to anyone else again.
In court today, Rona's daughter said he was a devoted father and grandfather who was always there for her. Brinson's attorneys say they plan to appeal the sentence.